and welcome back to an episode of Arcturian Philosophy. Today, we're going to try again, wearing a way better dress, the best dress I have, actually, for anti-programming. And why am I say trying again? Because, well, some people don't really want me getting this information out there, because, then the program people are going to break free left and right, right? So, fortunately, I know the most programmed people of you have the best out-of-body abilities. So you can still kind of see what I'm doing or watch me if you want without people screwing around with the phone. But either way, making a video on deprogramming. So programming basics first. How does it really work? So as babies, this happens at every single hospital. I was told this while I was in the hospital reptilian prison, John Muir Medical Center, Concord, California. This is not just John Muir, though. Stanford did the same thing. Martinez, every single hospital, and they actually said to me, it's every doctor in every hospital that's got a level of infiltration. What matters is how much infiltration. John Muir was highly infiltrated. So with the basics, as babies at the hospital, there are reptilians there, or people like me, who say, okay, dark side, I'll go along with you, I'll be a nurse or midwife, and I'll watch as the babies are born, and I'll tell you which ones have what types of auras, what kinds of magnetic fields, how the aura is moving, and different traits that they can tell of the child, traits of the parents, and will attempt to determine, along with also the Yael and Gray types. They're better at this than the reptilians, guys, so they're the really scary ones. You think you're scared of reptilians? The Yael and Gray ones are actually more scary, I've noticed. And answer to one who wanted to break out of his programming, I think, but then also wanted to take me as a slave. No, I'm not going to talk to you again after you tried to push me to commit suicide. When I say push, it means mental push. No. Figure out what side you're on, or, figure that out. So, hybrids of all types. So, part human, part extraterrestrial hybrid, and those people look just like you and me. According to a reptilian channeler, I'm actually 6% Arcturian DNA of some type. Now, how is that possible? I don't know. And I don't know if I believe the guy either. So, who cares? I don't know. I identify myself as a human being, Homo sapien, whatever. So, basically at the hospital, you're watched. And if you're in a place where you think they'd never do that to me, that my hospital wouldn't be that, we're good people here. Well, if you're in a place like that, then that is the most where it is being done, okay? All of the indigos, now, okay, these are the 80s wave, 70s, 80s, and not so much of the 90s, but part early 90s maybe, wave of indigos, we all got put on a big watch list, basically. We were on a kind of watch list where we were scheduled in a way to get the worst programming possible that they had at the time that they were going to experiment with. And it's our job, basically, once we break out of programming, to break the younger ones out. And those younger people right now are the crystal children and the rainbow children. They will just kind of sit there and get slapped repeatedly, and they need the indigos, who are system breakers, system busters, to pound down the door and knock them down. And our problem was indigos. Some of us indigos, we get too angry to figure out how to be telepathic. So after we break the doors down, then those crystal kids are going to have to teach us, how to do all that other stuff. But one thing I can do very well is I can heal, I can stay alive, and I can break programming. So I think those are 3 cool things that I can do, even if I can't see an aura anymore. Let me mention anymore, because in order to give up the program, I had to give up abilities that I was being offered. I was only offered them for a short period of time, for only less than a week. I was being offered different abilities, saying, oh, if you go along with us, you'll get to do this, you'll get to do that. See, oh, can't you see your pretty indigo-colored aura and everything now? oh, look, we'll help you with all of this stuff. Oh, see, but I just knew this doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound right at all. But what most of us don't know is that we experience some degree of programming from birth. And the most obvious form of programming, if you're not really sure, is the toilet, potty training. And the best way to program us is to get our parents to do it, whether they know they're doing it or not. So, for example, with the toilet, the reason the toilet is designed the way it is because of the reflection of the water. It's not because of sanitization. It's because the reflection of the water with using the light that reflects off of the water, that is how reptilian grade programming tends to attempt to control the urge to urinate or not. Other things that can be controlled is urge to eat, hunger, lack of hunger. Sex drive is a big one for men. That was one that got tried on me because I've always been very asexual, as I've called it, so that didn't work with me. Now, the indigos, most of us older ones that are watching right now, we got the worst deal at first. So because everyone saw us coming in to break the system down, they said, okay, we need to get them under control or kill them off somehow. So the idea of programming is to make you incapable of being independent or being dependent on something that can track you, watch you. That means basically so that you're disabled in some kind of physical capacity or a mental capacity or both. So whatever can be done either way. Its idea is disable you physically, mentally, or both by getting you to create an awful reality like that. Another thing about us indigos, we are the front line. We are the front line fighters. That's why we came with so much fight, because we need that fight to keep us going. I tried to make this video yesterday and somebody screwed with the phone. Oh well. I used to get really mad and start screaming about this stuff. But that's a typical indigo thing. It's okay. We can get over it. Now, with the degrees of programming, the more talented you are, the more strategically you tend to come in to this planet. Strategically meaning what system you're trying to break and how you're trying to break it, what your life's plan is. And also, conversely, the more programming you tend to get hit with. Because the other side, they're not stupid exactly. They're thinking, okay, this person is born totally extrasensory and sees all kinds of stuff. We have to, trap them in a basement and subject them to electroshock and classical conditioning. Well, oh, this one, okay, she came into a major area. She doesn't seem to exhibit any psychic abilities, really, but she's really smart. So we better keep an eye on her, but she doesn't seem as threatening. Well, I was counting on that, apparently. Apparently me up there was counting on being underestimated like that, so that I could help everybody else deprogram. So what does severe programming mean? You heard me say a little bit of it. So rape, that was done to me. Electroshock wasn't done to me that I remember. So that's Pavlovian, or classical conditioning. What that refers to is trying to completely screw up your neural circuitry to prevent you from actually performing household tasks. To literally prevent you from being able to take care of yourself. That means everything. Getting dressed, simple hygiene, going to the bathroom when you can or cannot go to the bathroom, like I explained with the toilet. Taking a shower. They tried to do this one to me with taking a shower, and I started breaking it. Being able to cook, clean for yourself. That's a big one. Cleaning anything. They try and stop you from cleaning anything. That's a fast way to disable people. So I've had to actually have super entities follow me around and teach me how to clean stuff, including myself. Going out by yourself. Big one. If you go out by yourself, well then, we don't have control over that thing now, do we? Even if we're going to watch it astrally, well, if it's wandering around, who knows what it'll do. Driving, handling, or understanding the use of money. So, for example, my brother, he has money, but he has no idea how to use it because he got that part of the program. Now, checking the mail, literally any task that allows you to be independent, taking out the trash, this goes with the cleaning again, washing dishes, laundry, anything that can be identified that helps you be independent. This is what severe programming attempts to stop. Part of the idea, actually I did find the book. Now, good book for those of you who either need some help understanding this or who went through some of this. The Invisible Ring by Ann Bishop. This is actually about a guy who gets, you could say, programmed in a way, but it's not really, the book isn't about programming, but people who've undergone it, and especially in a sexual fashion, will appreciate this book. So remember, The Invisible Ring, upside down, The Invisible Ring by Ann Bishop. And now also this book explains some of what the rape is for. Now, rape is always used in programming, from what I've noticed, in severe forms of programming. In lesser forms of programming, parents or nannies or friends, family friends, might be making fun of you for doing certain things, might be encouraging you to do or not do certain things. The results on your Google searches are all tailored to you, far more so than what you think, as in you're being watched through the screen. Your phones have cameras on them like this. You're being watched through them. Things of that nature. So programming extends through all of our society. Think about it. Think about toilets. So because of the way we've structured that, that's actually satanic programming. Okay, and how do I know this? I was in a reptilian prison of sorts, which they prefer to make mental institutions so that they can call you crazy. And they were using on me their ability to stop you from urinating. So you have to really pee, but you can't. And I figured out the physics of it, that it had to do with the reflection of the water. What'd I do? I found trash cans and would pee in them. So now getting to how do we break the programming. So one of the biggest things that they want you to think that keeps the program going is your degree of helplessness inside of it. If you're actually aware that something's being done to you that's not normal, they don't want you to know that it's being done to you. If you are aware, they want you to think you can't do anything about it, or make you think that you're totally controlled and that it's not reversible, that you stand no chance. That's because we create our own realities, because we're such intense creators and we're so good at it. We're actually better at it than other species, than extraterrestrial species. We're more intense in our creative nature than most extraterrestrial species. So this is something that can get used against us. Now, first, what I've found is that we have to assess the handler that you're dealing with. The person who primarily does the programming on you is called the handler, and they prefer to make that your parents. They prefer to make that your parents because of what I've studied formally in psychology. When you're dependent on your primary caregiver, it's the baby's natural instinct to love their primary caregiver. And it's normal to love your parents. And if your parents are abusing you in some fashion at the same time, even if it's not, say, being hit or raped, but abused, say, being kept in your room constantly like my brother is, or being told that they can't do or say or go to certain places when they're already 25 years old, that, things that don't make any sense, or having that done to myself and my brother for our entire lives. And because no one could get me under control, they actually attempted to send me to a reptilian psychologist. And I didn't know this at the time. I just knew that whatever was happening was totally wrong, that my brother would not eat, and that he should be going to the psychologist, and that I knew that that everything was really not right. And ironically, that was why I was being sent there, to attempt to brainwash me or program me further, but it still just didn't work. So after when you have to assess who is controlling me, what degree of control am I allowing them to have, more so, and how do I let go of them? The part of the first steps for figuring out how to break out of programming is figuring out, okay, who's handling me and how do I ditch them, pretty much. And again, it's usually your parents, or going to be someone that you think that you love, or someone that you think loves you. In order to survive, this is why babies will bond with their primary caregivers. I know myself how much it hurt to actually say no. I don't want to see my mother when I was imprisoned, because I realized, oh, wait, they're trying to use callback triggers on me. They would say, oh, you don't want your mother to go, do you? And I would realize, wait a minute. This is all going on. I've broken out of this program, so you're trying to assassinate me because of it. And angels and such are interceding so that I won't die. And you're saying that you want me to continue saying that I will depend on or love this entity, this thing, this person, whatever the heck it is, called my mother, that does not act like my mother anymore, whatever it is. You want me to continue seeing it when it actively tries to harm me every time it sees me? No. And this is something that is very, very hard to do, because it's normal for humans to, especially when it's a caregiver that you're very used to, even if they're raping you, when it's a caregiver that you think that you love, or that you believe loves you, it is very hard to let go of that person, to tell them goodbye. I mean, it still hurts for me to think that I had to tell my mother goodbye. But if she's going to act sadistic, if any of your parents are going to act sadistic, are going to attempt to control you, control your life, you have to let them go. Now, in the middle of that, for some people, they could be in situations where their lives could be threatened if they attempt to just say no to what is going on. Or you could be mentally in a space where it's just too hard to get yourself to act in a different fashion. So you start small with general tasks. You can focus yourself on one task that you haven't been able to do and attempt to very slowly inch your way towards it. Now, this could be something, say for people in Utah, let's say you get told, get this way, bitch, and you're standing there. You could take one step to the side and then go. You could walk in a quick circle and then go. Little tiny things. Anything that is your own free will, which truly can never actually be taken away from you. You can only be made to think that it's been taken away from you. When you realize that no matter what, your heart chakra ultimately cannot really be broken like they would want to do. It can only be somewhat damaged, and the degree of damage is what matters. One thing that I have noticed is a somewhat helpful tip. I realized this in San Francisco because I realized that I was a bit of an orphan. I had already thought of that when I realized, wait, whatever is inside my mother doesn't seem like my mom anymore. Whatever was going on with my father the entire time, I knew was screwed up. I knew that he had raped me. I already called him my sperm donor. But when I realized that my mother was actually a handler, I thought, wait, oh my God, I'm now an orphan. Okay, I'm an orphan. And what I was told in San Francisco was, we'll adopt you by a family that was in the stars. And so one thing that you can do is you can, think to yourself. For people that are in severe situations, the best thing to do is think this to yourself. You don't have to write it down or say it, which is I, so-and-so, now fully accept adoption by my family in the stars. And you can sign it if you're writing it. If you have the ability that you feel to write it without someone finding it or looking at it, or that you don't feel threatened to write it down, then write it and sign it. And that's what I did. Now, let's see if we can find this. Now an example of what a severely programmed person feels like. There it is. Spider Woman's Web. And I read from this at one point, but now we're going to read from this again. What a programmed person, or specifically say a female, would feel like. This was given to me by a girl who was being, holed up in the same kind of way that I was in a room, and watched until she would slowly die, basically. Now I know that. Back then I didn't. Back then I couldn't figure out why it appeared that my mother would act in ways that would appear to be killing me. Now I know why, because she actually was trying to kill me. So, Spider-Woman's Web. She gave me this, and I found immediately writing on the front, and I thought, that's strange. But I read it, and I thought, this sounds nuts. But now I read it. I got this in 2011. At first I thought it sounded nuts. I thought, oh, you're nuts. And I had no idea that I was under-programming myself. But now I read this, and I think, oh my gosh. Okay, I know exactly what she's talking about. She says, I am warped. I have a warped body, warped mind, and warped spirit. That's what they want you to think. I have a warped idea of everything because I am irrevocably, see, operative word there, they want you to think irrevocably, fucked up. And there is nothing, another one that they want you to think nothing, I can do about it. This is all a lie. I am warped, and it is because somebody wanted me to be. Somebody took a sledgehammer to my self-esteem and ripped my heart apart when I was too young to be able to stop them. Someone tried to kill me, and I went wonky in order to simply survive. I am not perfect. My bones curve space and time, and my mind? Don't even mention that. Still, nothing but perfect remains in my soul. Nothing but perfect where my heart is learning how to be. I long to break free of the hold the past has on me. I know you won't believe me. I became the kind of person who could live imperfectly so that I could stay with you. That means stay alive. Won't you come with me on my journey towards the one known simply by the name She? Now, I didn't know at the time that she was basically giving me this book to attempt, they were trying to see if they could get me somehow under control in that kind of way, and I just, whatever they would do, I would not actually recognize that it was some sort of programming. I would instead instantly go to the obvious of this, there's a problem here, there's a problem there, why are you doing that, why are you doing that, does this make any sense? One big issue, so for people that have gone through this, is trust, redeveloping trust. When everybody tries to mess with you, obviously you're not going to trust a lot of people. So that's in baby steps. The first thing that I found is that's the best thing for me has been figuring out tasks again, because the tasks that are in the real world, or the third dimensional world, or fourth dimensional world, whichever we appear to be on right now, where you get up and walk around and use what you perceive as your physical body, getting up and doing whatever you can attempt to do, that is one of the best ways to start breaking things, breaking the program, getting around it somehow. Now, we're very smart. Humans have a lot of ingenuity, and that's what I kept getting underestimated for with ingenuity, and figuring out new and innovative ways to do things. So, example from Teal Swan, not being able to do laundry, or being walked towards a laundry machine and shocked until she would have a seizure. She figured out she could get around that by doing laundry in the sink. And that's like me getting around the bathroom by going to the bathroom in a trash can, because I figured out the physics of the water. Same kind of thing. Now, one thing that I notice is that a lot of people this is from the Enneagram. Enneagram means 9 gram, so there's some people who are not sure what that is. 9 different types of personalities, and it's very intricately linked. It's a very intricate system. A lot of people that are type 4s that I've noticed, and they tend to stay in a cycle of imprisonment to freedom, going back and forth. And it's because those types tend to wait for a savior. Type 4 tends to be waiting for the savior to save them, which, this is funny, which is contradicting the law of attraction, but those types, I've noticed the type 4s are the best at explaining the law of attraction. So that's where it all works in a great circle, right? And I'm type 5, if anyone is curious to know. Also, if you end up proving really pesky like me, and you manage to escape severe programming as a child, getting shocked and things like that, if you manage to escape the very severe programming, or if you got the severe programming and you still escaped, one thing that the Greys then try to take over, and will attempt to implant you sometimes. And I've had that happen to me. I woke up. Where's it on here? There you go. See, red mark. Woke up a couple days ago with that huge injection mark. Probably by, I'd say, a 21 to 23 gauge hypodermic syringe, because I know a lot about medicine. And also another cut on my foot, which I finally noticed didn't look like a normal cut. And this had happened a few times before on my foot, where this seems to be mostly gray. After reptilians can't do it, I would wake up hearing rummaging around. And I would have an image in my mind of these large reptile things going around the house, and finally I'd start moving, saying and then it would disappear, and wake up to some sort of obelisk shape on my foot or something bizarre. But once you manage to get those things to not work, the Greys tend to take over, I've noticed. Now, big thing, how do you get them to not work? Your frequency or brain patterns, brain waves, affect if they function or not. And it seems like there's a different degree of strengths of implants, as I've noticed. But also, after you pass a certain point, it becomes very hard for them to get an opening to implant you. This works along, I think Dune, okay, any Dune fans out there, think Dune. The way they talk about openings, they're talking about a vibrational opening. So if no one can get an opening to even get at you because your frequency is too high, then that fixes a lot of the problem right there. It also just stops implants from working. I literally have no idea what this bizarre, mark was for, or these different. For example, I woke up with this cut on my ankle at the same day that I woke up with the injection mark, and I knew something was odd about it. That day, I remembered having a few things that seemed telepathic that just sounded totally wrong, and I just knew, ignore it. But and then later, the next day, I remembered, feeling the cut, seeing it hadn't healed yet. And that was strange, and then I knew I'd woken up with it, and I took a look and realized, did they try to do something to me again? Well, good. Whatever it is not working, so it doesn't matter. And also I've written here, similar to the girl who gave me this, and I really hope she's okay, but the girl who gave me this, a lot of people, along with her, cope with their programming by overeating. in the kind of reptilian prison that I was in, that was the biggest thing that I noticed, that most of the people were overeaters if they weren't secretly sniffing coke up at the front, like the Yael guy who was. Who I completely caught him up there sniffing coke with the receptionist, with the nurse at the nursing station giving it to him, and him doing up his nose like that, and I walked away. So, how do we get around this stuff? We've had all this stuff done to us, and going back to what Cryon has said to me, which is going back to the utterly, completely basic, or the Doctor Who style sonic screwdriver up against a cave wall, and you can't open the cave wall because it's too low tech. So, apparently, when we go back to the complete basics, it's actually confusing to the two ET types, primary ET types that engage in the programming. You could split it off into Grey, Yael, Saurian, Reptilian, other version of Reptilian hybrid thing. Like they like to make all those distinctions. Then at the same time, we'll say I'm using labels when they say no, we're all one. And I say, well, why are you guys making all these distinctions between yourselves, and why do you hate each other? They just hate it when I tell them that. Even though we've had all these things done to us, not just going back to the basics, what is completely basic, but also existentialism, which is radical freedom. So, okay, apparently I was born Rh negative, which means rhesus monkey gene negative, or that means more reptilian, or designed to become reptilian type thing. Rhesus negative. Some with the reptilian guy saying I'm 6% Arcturian. Okay, with a father raping me, and a mother who's gone constantly, and then once that stops, then the mother becomes the programmer, and everything goes to hell. I run away from home at 18 because I just knew something was horribly wrong. Things along those lines. All of these things have happened to us. They make us partly who we are, but they don't have to make us who we are. Our spirits have the ability to supersede all of these things. Even, this I'm taking from Teal, even from people who have gone through the electroshock, from what I understand, the power of your spirit actually can heal that circuitry, or your new intent causes new neural pathways to be formed. I know that from psychology, from what I studied myself. So how do we create that kind of thing? Well, fear is relied upon for programming. So to be programmed, you have to be afraid. So getting not afraid is one of the biggest things. So even if you're in a situation where you can't really control that you can see what is going on, you can control how you feel. And controlling how you feel screws up anyone's ability to feed off of your negative energy. That's what they want. They want your fearful energy or angry energy if they can't get fearful energy. So once you change how you start feeling, it doesn't have to be completely overnight, but it can just be for maybe a few minutes. You don't feel afraid anymore. And then go back into it. Slowly, this builds upon itself, and you can slowly start getting out of it. I know that I never would have been sitting here wearing a pretty dress, making any kind of video on YouTube, learning how to shower every day, or how to decorate, or clean stuff, or anything like that, because I was unwittingly programmed against it. I had no idea that I was being programmed against it at the time. And most of us are not really going to be aware that we've undergone mind control. And one pitfall I've found for a lot of us who find out about mind control, we don't understand that we're still usually under the influence of mind control when we found out about it. Just because you know about mind control doesn't mean you're exempt from it. And also, just because you're talking about on YouTube, like me, like this, still, I have to deal with people trying to mentally influence me to do things all the time. And I have to just try and walk through it, like a person walking through a fire. And that's going to be another person to thank, Katy Perry. You can tell that she fought out of her programming several times, and it was a few of her songs that I managed to hear on the radio while imprisoned that caused me to figure out several critical things that helped me get out of there, or else I would have died in there. The idea was to kill me. And then to kill the person, the good reptilian Michael that I've talked about, who also apparently was released. Thank God. That guy, he did not identify as human, and he said he didn't care, basically, that I was human. He just told me, you need to get out of here. I know you need to get out of here. This place, they're gonna kill you, and I know I know that that's what's going on, and I don't want you to die. You need to get out of here. So for people with a lot of the trust issues, we have to start relying on our own discernment. One thing that I noticed that we'll end up trying to do, a lot of programmed girls, what we try to do is look to other people for the answer when the answer is just right here. And instead of trying to sense around for an answer, instead sense here and then sense upward to your third eye. While I was in prison, that was what Cryon told me to do, to be able to tell if what I was being told to do was something good for me or not good for me. Because one thing that can get done to you if you figure out that you're being told to do a lot of things that are bad for you, you can start getting told, and you're an indigo, you can start getting told things that are good for you, and just because you're an indigo, you might say, I'm not going to do that, just because you're an indigo. And so in order to figure out, well, what's really a good thing, what's really not a good thing to do, for me, sensing here, heart, and then sensing upward to the third eye to be able to figure that out, discern that, is this a good thing for me or not? Or ask for your guides. For most people that are in some amount of programming that they know went on as a child, or are now figuring out went on as a child, you had guides that were with you, that were trying to protect you the whole time. When I was a child, I would always feel like a tall man was walking behind me, and I could never see this person, whoever it was. Now I'm going to assume that it was probably a Pleiadian walking around, but I would always feel like there was a very tall white male walking around behind me that was glowing with light, and that sounds pretty Pleiadian to me, doesn't it? So ask for your guides to help you. In order to figure out how to do dishes, just to go near the thing and attempt to wash anything, Cryon has to ask me, okay, do you think you can go to try to do the dishes now? Do you think you can try to go to take a shower now? Well, if that doesn't work, how about we try this instead? Well, if you can't handle washing everything, why don't you try and wash one dish that's Teflon? Because then it doesn't have a reflection on it. Okay, well, do you think you can wash one piece of clothing? Do you think you can clean one little space of your house? Like, I keep seeing this in the background. Something has to be clean. Random junk here. So we're gonna put our money where our mouth is. Tryon keeps saying that's some reptilian joke, or I don't know that it makes sense to reptilians as some kind of show your money, put your money where your mouth is, and actually get out of it. Actually attempt to do stuff because we can. And Tryon told me this. He told me the longer that you keep going, the longer that you keep on just powering through this, you live in an area that just got hit. And you live next to Chevron, globally practically. No wonder you'd get hit like that, but that's why you're there. You're there as a light in the dark. In a big dark zone, you're a big bright light. And so as long as you keep your light shining, as long as you shine it out, and stop getting mad at all the people spying on you till finally, at first it's funny, he told me to go out there and tell them to go away. And now he's telling me, well, now that you have confronted them and proven that you can do it, you're not scared of them, now just ignore them or tell them that you love them. So this is going to have to be some kind of long, interesting series because this is a long, difficult subject. I'm still having to try to break out of what I now know were tendencies that were not normally my own, such as not knowing how to clean anything, or not knowing how to take the trash out, not being able to check my own mail or understand credit or money. I was not taught about credit cards or anything when I was a child. And no wonder I ran away when I was 18 because something was just so screwed up I had to get out of there. So for also another thing before I go, for girls, I've got to find a great place to pop the phone. For girls that got kitty cat on them, I think my father tried to do that to me and failed. For girls that got the kitty cat programming on them, try martial arts, or all girls. If you've gone through extensive amount of programming, try seeing if martial arts is any benefit to you, or yoga too. If you're not a martial arts person, I'm just not a yoga person. I tried yoga, just didn't like it. So I said, what should I do? Just asked to the cosmos, what should I do? And I was told, go and meditate like you remember, like from Shaolin Kempo. And then as I continued to sit there, I felt a strong feeling of how much I liked that, and I was told, go on the computer, type these words in, and we're going to show you where to go from there to find another type of karate to study, martial arts to study. But this is kind of a standard thing in most martial arts. So this is called the cat stance. So if you got the kitty cat program, okay. Oh, you want me to be a kitty cat? I see. So this is a defensive stance. It means you're scanning. This is called scanning. You're scanning the area for danger. So I'm a little kitten. Oh, I'm this kind of kitten. Or another fun one, the tiger stance, which is like this. Like this, which also can come in like this with a strong punch down. I happen to really love that particular move. You got this. So, I'm a cat. Oh, yeah, I got strong claws too. Down to the guy doing that to you. You can imagine that. So for all of us, especially us girls. See, us girls, we're the ones with more of the, well, as you could say, psychic advantage. So because we have something of an advantage in that arena, they want to take us out pretty young. So tried that with me. It didn't work. So because it didn't work with me, it's not going to work with any of you guys either. And I'm here to keep on going through everything and busting down the doors so that we can continue living on a peaceful Earth and bring this place into the future, or what we perceive as a future. I'll talk to you guys again soon with some more interesting ideas on deprogramming. Until then, this is Krista, Professor Andromeda on Arcturian philosophy.